So a couple things to know about your brain before we dive into the 7 keys. It deletes, distorts, and generalizes based on your belief. So this can be helpful and empowering. This can be unhelpful and disempowering, depending on the belief.
Mindi is with us today, and the work that she does is really with high achievers to grow and scale their business without having that hustle and that grind mentality. But really underneath that, and why I was so excited for her to be here, is how she helps people remove blocks from their mindset. And yes, we all need help with that. I know I need help with that. The other day, what was I working on? Oh, I was working on I was procrastinating on a project, and I said something to this group that I'm in, and they just said, "Well, Carmen, have you written out all the steps that you need to do?" and created a plan. And I just started laughing, and I was like, "Yeah, thank you for calling me on that," because it was still just all jumbled up here, but I teach that. So anyway, she helps us remove those blocks and really tap into our subconscious, and we'll hear more about that 24 karat era. And I'm sure more people are going to join us as you're talking, but I do like to start on time. And for those of you that are not on camera yet, please join us on camera if you can. And I'll just turn it over to you. And thank you so much for being here. And let's go an hour. And if people, if you want to go longer, if people have questions for you or how to work with you, that sort of thing. So.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. And this is interactive as well. So as opposed to saving time for just questions at the end, please raise your hand, put it in the chat. Carmen will help me monitor that, I'm sure, so that we get your questions answered on the spot, because we're going to be making those micro shifts for massive change on the spot. So definitely chime in for them. I'm all about that. I love that. My name is Mindi. I am absolutely honored to be here and be able to serve in Carmen's community. So thank you so much for this privilege. I am obsessed with helping high achievers rewire their brain and play and rest at the top of their game, because that's where we want to be. So what does that get to look like? Your 24 karat era looks like redefining success. It looks like a soul-aligned business, a business that serves you first, because that's why you went into business, right? To create freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, all those things. So I would love to share with you some essential keys to creating the 24 karat success that you want, deserve, desire. And while we do those keys, you're going to see where you are able to tap into your subconscious mind, because that's the first thing that's missing, in my opinion, and in my experience. That's how we go from goal getter to goal setter to goal getter, is we align our subconscious mind. Because we set goals with our conscious mind all the time and don't get them. It just is, right? It's just reality. Where the missing ingredient is tying in our subconscious mind, because our subconscious runs 95% of what we do. So if it's running 95%, if we're not tapping into it, we're really missing out on finding a lot more ease and a lot more joy in what we're doing when we get the whole elephant on board, right? If you've ever read the book, The Ant and the Elephant, that's how I want you to think about your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Subconscious mind is the elephant and your conscious mind is the ant. We want the elephant going in the direction that we want to go. We want those things aligned. So a couple things to know about your brain before we dive into the 7 keys. It deletes, distorts, and generalizes based on your belief. So this can be helpful and empowering. This can be unhelpful and disempowering, depending on the belief. You're always winning the game you're playing because your brain is deleting, distorting, and generalizing based on your belief. So if you are consistently affirming yourself in an unhelpful direction, I'm a terrible time manager, I'm a hot mess, I thrive in chaos, those types of things, this is how powerful you are. You think that thought, it becomes an I am statement, a belief that creates emotions, and then you create habits to prove it to yourself. That is how brilliant the machine of you and your mind is. Think a thought, It becomes a belief. You create habits to prove it to yourself. So I'm sure you can see where this is working in an unhelpful, disempowering way in your life, and where you also have created just some fire things because you had an empowered I am statement. I am driven. I am the person who doesn't take no for an answer. I am, and you've got this I am an amazing time manager. Then you show yourself, you've got habits to prove it to yourself. You're always winning the game you're playing because of the way that your brain works. Your subconscious thinks in pictures and sounds and feelings. So the moment that you take this empowered statement, this empowered I am statement, I am a brilliant time manager, and you tie in pictures and sounds and feelings to that, this is how you align your conscious and your subconscious and you lock it in. So that's the perfect lead in for us into the 7 keys. The first key is knowing what you want. Now you might think, well, duh. There are so many of us that know what we don't want. We know how we don't want to feel. We know what we don't want to experience anymore. We are in an away from motivation. We want to get away from this thing. And that is a catalyst, however, not sustainable. So we want to be able to flip that into a toward motivation, knowing what I do want to move towards. And this can be, I'm going to encourage you to use the 7 keys to start with something relatively small to prove to yourself how awesome you are at implementing these keys to create the micro shifts that create the massive change, create the 24 karat outcomes that you want. So know what you want. Let's say I want to drink 8 ounce glasses of water a day. This is what I want. Second key, take action. Now, in the knowing what we want, I'm going to reverse that. In the knowing what we want, it is vital, it is essential for us to be so tied to what it is that we want. It's so compelling that we're not going to give up on it when life's in our direction, right? When things come in that want to shift our attention. So I know what I want. I want to drink 8 ounce glasses of water a day. This is my favorite place to ask the question, why? It's probably the only place I love to ask the question, why? Because the moment we say why, we say because. So if I want to tell a story from why, I want to tell it in the direction of my dreams and desires. Why do I want to drink 8 ounce glasses of water a day? Well, I love water. I love to be hydrated. Science says, right, it'll keep my skin looking young. Hydration is really good for my brain. When I am not hydrated, my brain looks like that dried up sponge on the side of the sink, right? Like there's a million reasons for me why drinking 8 ounce glasses of water a day, why it's so compelling that nothing is going to stop me from more often than not taking aligned action. So knowing that, going 7 whys deep on it, think about what you want, the goal, and I talk in outcomes because outcomes are the result. They're what's actually happens. Goals are an aim, they're a direction, they're a purpose, they're essential. They're the way for us to see where we want to go. And the outcome is what actually happens. This is the result that I get from it. So I know what I want, and I've gone 7 whys deep. I've asked all the questions. Why do I want this? Because it's going to do this for me. And I'm going to feel like this. Well, why is that important? Because I'm telling all these stories in the direction of my dreams so that, again, I am showing up more often than not, taking action towards what I want. So the second key, take action, right? Like, again, duh. These are basic and we don't use them. Take action. What kind of action? Mental, physical, emotional, spiritual action in the direction of what I want. So some mental action could be clearing clutter. What sort of clutter could stop me from drinking 8 ounce glasses of water a day? Well, if I have other drinks in the fridge that maybe aren't as great for me as water is, and don't have quite as many benefits of water, maybe I want to clear that clutter out of there. Other clutter that could get in the way of me not taking the action that I want mentally? What's some physical action that I can take? Well, I could literally have 8 glasses of water set out so that it is really simple and easy for me. I could just go grab a glass of water. I could have a really fun glass that I drink out of to make the action even easier. What's some more action I could take? I could set an alarm on my phone that says, drink water, hydrated women run the world, right? Like, remind myself in really affirming and helpful ways. So know what you want and take action. When I say take emotional action or spiritual action, set an intention around it. Like, take the deepest breath you've taken all day and ask yourself, is there anything getting in the way of this? Like, any thought that's getting in the way, any past pattern that's going to get in the way of me being this hydrated version of myself? Okay, great. So taking action, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual action. Another form of action that you get to take mentally is mental rehearsal. We will come back to this at the end because that gets its whole little piece, but know that that goes under the taking action. So know what you want, take action. Here's the one that so many of us shy away from. If we figure out what we want and if we take action, this next one, checking the data. Oh, we don't want to check the data. Like, we tend to make data mean all kinds of things about us personally. And what the data gets to mean is data. It's information to make a new choice based on the information. So if I say I want to drink 8-ounce glasses of water a day, and I take some action, I set myself up, I then go to check the data, and the data says, you've had 8-ounce glasses of water a day today. Woohoo! The data says I'm taking the aligned action all the time in the direction of what I want, and I get to keep doing that. Okay, I check the data. The data says you have 4 glasses of water today. Okay, so the data is showing me that I'm in the right direction and there's room for improvement. There's room for change. Great. That's what the data is telling me. If I go to check the data and the data says you are thirsty, you didn't have any water today. All the data is telling me is that I didn't have water. Not that I'm a terrible human, not that I'll never have a glass of water, not that I can't sell anything, not that I don't have something to offer to the world. None of those things. We tend to tie data to our worth and value when it's strictly data. And so we get to look at the data and go, oh, that's interesting. The data says you didn't consume any water. Where do I get to either make some changes, or here's the first time that when we check the data and we get some information, I get to go back to the first thing, knowing what I want. And I get to say, do I really want this? The data said I didn't show up like I really wanted it. So is there some clutter to clear? Is there some better action to take? Do I get to ask myself why one more time, go a little bit deeper to make sure I'm aligned with this? And now pictures and sounds and feelings, I want to tie myself to it. So am I seeing myself drinking the water? Am I hearing the alarm go off on my phone? Am I feeling the satisfaction of being hydrated? All the things. Know what you want, take action, check the data. Here's the 4th key. When you get to check the data, if the data says, there's room for improvement, we get to be willing to change. Willing to change what? Anything, everything. Willing to change a belief, willing to change a circumstance. Maybe the circumstance is I didn't have any water in the house. Like, I can't drink the tap water. I need purified water, or XYZ, right? Willing to change a circumstance for myself. Willing to change a relationship. Now, this could be a relationship with myself. It could be a relationship with someone else. Many, many times it's your relationship with, okay, in this case, it could be water. I know people who hate water. And so they know that hydration can be great for them. And yet, right, like they have a not great relationship with water. It could be your relationship with time. It could be your relationship with money. It could be your relationship with a budget, with forecasting, with what are you making it mean? What has the experience been up until that point? Because all of this is locked in your subconscious mind. And the filter that you're using to decide what you're willing to change is based on your previous experience that's in your subconscious, because that is storing your memories and all those experiences. And so then it's looking at this thing that you said you want and the action that you did or didn't take and the data that you checked. And now you've got to this place where you go, wow, I could get even better results if I did XYZ. I could get some result if I actually drank some water. I could get, right? Like, this is us being willing to change. So being willing to change a relationship, a thought, a belief, a circumstance, any of those things. The fifth key, so know what you want, take action, check the data, be willing to change. The fifth key is showing up in excellence, which for me means joy and ease. If there is not some joy and ease in the way that I'm being, who I get to be, how I get to go about things, I'm out. Life is way too short. Does that mean that everything's a party and so simple and I just sit around and everything I want falls from the sky? Well, of course not. But you can bet that I'm going to find a way to find more ease in what I'm doing, and I'm going to find a way to have more fun in what I'm doing. Like, this is core for me, is joy and ease. So how am I going to make it easier to have 8-ounce glasses of water a day? How am I going to find more ease? Again, I could set 8 glasses of water out. I'm going to set an alarm for that. I'm going to have a fun glass that I drink out of. I'm going to put lemon in there or mint in there to make it more fun for myself. Like, the beauty of this is you get to lean into this. And I would love to hear, as we're at this place of the fifth key, because of what I've been sharing with you, have you decided on something that you know you want? And you're walking yourself through the 7 keys now, just doing a litmus test for yourself. Oh, I said I wanted this. Did I go 7 whys deep? I said I wanted to. And while this is a physical outcome, like drinking 8-ounce glasses of water a day, the magic comes in falling in love with the process of becoming the human who. Because that's always there. I don't want to drink 1 glass of water. I want to be a water drinker, to quote James Clear. I don't want to make 1 sale. I want to be a sale closer, right? I don't want 1 client. I want consistent clients. Whatever it is that your outcome is, the absolute magic in it is you becoming the human who casts the votes more often than not, checks the data without giving it meaning, is consistently going in the direction of what you want more often than not. So know what you want, take action, check the data, be willing to change, show up in joy and ease, which excellence for me is joy and ease, not to be confused with perfection or comparison, because we can get caught up in that as well. There's no such thing as perfection ever, right? Like, that's not a thing. It's not something to aspire to. And comparison, I won't say never, but I'm going to say to you 99.999% of the time, not comparing our apple with someone else's apple. If we're comparing something. Inspiration, heck yeah. I love being inspired by, feeling inspired by seeing what someone else has done, what someone else says, even how someone else holds themselves, how they look, right? Those types of things, like feeling that energy coming off them, that glow that they have in who they're being, all of that, being inspired by that and going, ooh, I want some of that. Yes, 100%. Moving that over though to perfection or comparison, we won't win there. And you will win the game that you're playing. You won't win the game you want to win. You'll win I can't live up. It's not like him or her or that. We'll get stuck in that cycle of self-sabotage then to win the game of perfection and or comparison. And we'll go a little bit deeper on self-sabotage too in just a sec. So know what you want, take action, check the data, be willing to change, show up in joy and ease, The sixth key is gratitude. And this is really, Carmen says she's, a student of the study of miracles or course in miracles. Gratitude, like this is just foundational. I start from the foundation of gratitude and the foundation of it's happening for me, not to me, and being able to just sit in that gratitude as a starting point and not grateful for a crappy circumstance. No one's saying that. This is about seeing the really small things and letting them expand so that you notice the areas in your life that are actually probably bigger than you think, because your brain is like Velcro for negativity and Teflon for positivity. This is how you're wired, and it's for survival and protection and all these things. And so the good hard work of rewiring your brain also looks like really being the seeker of goodness. What's good about this? What gets to be good about this? What do I get to make this mean that's more empowered and helpful? And sitting in that, sitting in the celebration of you becoming, sitting in the ability to see what also is good when something comes along. Like, what other thing? What can I have gratitude for that was? What can I have gratitude for that is? What can I have gratitude for that's in the future? If you don't have a current gratitude practice, if what I'm saying is a complete foreign language to you, I would invite you to either start the day or end the day with just one thing, like, this was cool. More of this would be good, right? Like, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this. And even if when you start that practice, again, if this is truly a foreign language, when you start that practice, like, I'm glad the day's done. Like, okay, that's a place to start. And then the next day, can you move a little bit more? Was there like this little, could you squint and find this sliver of, oh, that wasn't the worst thing that could happen. And then you start moving yourself towards having more of a foundation of gratitude. Because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. You can't help that. Dr. Wayne Dyer said that. And it's literally like putting on a new pair of glasses, a new perspective. If you were here in the very beginning, or when you watch the replay as well, it's shifting your perspective in the direction of empowerment for you so that you can win the game of, oh, there could be another possibility out here if I allow myself to see it. Because you remember, your brain deletes, distorts, and generalizes based on your beliefs. Your RAS, your reticular activating system, is a filter that brings you what you anticipate and expect in a very basic way of describing what it does. And so if you are anticipating and expecting in the direction of something good or something better than bad, it will allow you to see that. And I'm sure you've all experienced this without even knowing it. It's called the Bader-Meinhof theory. And you're like, oh, look at that cute little white car. I think I'm going to get a new white car. I have not seen that car anywhere. That's so cute. I want one of those. You go and buy it. You drive off the car lot. Everyone is driving this white car. It's the third car everywhere you look. And you had never seen it before. You allowed and anticipated, you expected in the direction of it. And then it was brought into your view. You brought it from unconscious to conscious. And now you are conscious of it being around you before you were not conscious of it being around you. So your brain is freaking amazing. And you get to just continually tap into it and rewire it in the direction of your dreams, your desires, your satisfaction, all of that. So the seventh key is alignment. And this one, while I'm giving them to you in order, know what you want, take action, check the data, be willing to change, excellence, joy and ease, also known as joy and ease, gratitude, and alignment. While we're going through them in order, these are going to be like words to a song for you. And you're going to need to see them on the sheet, right, for a little bit while you memorize the words. And then you're going to be able to sing this song and you're going to move around on these words. They're not necessarily going to go in order because you're going to know what you want, take action, check the data. And then you're going to be like, could I find more joy and ease in this? Was I seeking gratitude, or did you'll start asking yourself the powerful questions, because the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask, which is why I said, when we ask why in the direction of like our deepest dreams and desires, it's a brilliant question. We will tell a narrative, a story that takes us closer to what we want. Why do I want this? Why do I want a successful business? Why do I want to have an impact globally? Why? Because, and we really get to pour out. The moment we start asking why, when something didn't happen the way that we want, when we didn't show up like we want to, when things aren't going in the direction that we want, we tell another story that keeps us in there instead of asking the question that could move us forward, which is what is stopping me from taking the aligned action? Not why, because the moment I say why, I'll be because, and this and that, and it's hard. And I know, because I've done it a bunch of times. So I started asking myself better questions that allowed me to then get out of that pattern and move into the what's stopping me. Well, I think it's going to be really hard. Okay, well, where can I find some ease in what I'm doing? When did I decide it was going to be so hard? How can I prove to myself that I can either do hard things, or I can get support, or I can make it a little bit less hard? Or so when we start asking those more solution-ended questions, your brain, right, deleting, distorting, and generalizing, and your RAS bringing you what you anticipate and expect, you have everything firing together, and you're putting your conscious and your subconscious in alignment with each other so that it's bringing you more of what you want and taking you closer to the things that you desire. Alignment. I'm getting there. This is, there's two things that we want to think about when we think about aligning our conscious and our subconscious. First of all, when you have said, this is what I want, and you're taking all the action and you're seeing results and you're willing to change, and you get down to alignment and you go, whew, I'm feeling some resistance, like feeling resistance in here. When that resistance is at a 5, 6, 7, beautiful. Push into it, lean into the resistance. This is telling you that you are moving from your known zone, you are stretching your known zone, and you are now leaning into this best next thing for you. This tells you you are on the edge of a breakthrough, this 5, 6, 7 level of resistance, possibly even 8, like, right? Like this, you are in alignment, keep going. 1.1% of the time, that resistance that you're feeling is you absolutely being against your core beliefs. You talking yourself into this is what I want, but it's actually not what you want. It's actually, everywhere it's, $10,000 months or $1 million in sales, or right, like which are amazing. And if you truly want that, I am here for you. You can do it. Like you're freaking limitless, and you can do anything. You have all the internal resources that you need, and you have the brains to get support to help you get there, like period. And if that is not truly what you want, if it's not compelling enough for you to show up in it, more often than not, you will be out of alignment and you will feel it. And you will be like, this is heavy and this is hard. And I can't even ask a good question in it because ultimately it's not your goal. It's not aligned with you. And that's okay too. Even if you set something that you really, really thought was you, that's your opportunity to go, okay, well, am I changing? Am I different? Do I have new priorities? Have I shifted my perspective? And now what I thought was this $1 million goal, right, is now actually, I want this instead. I want this freedom. I want this expansion. I want I want less time in my business. So in this moment, I'm not seeing $1 million when I want to spend less time. Right now, what's more important to me is less time. So how do I get to cultivate that instead? And then you start again. Those are the 7 essential keys for creating any 24 karat outcome that you want. Anyone that you want. Keep bumping up against that and asking yourself the really good questions. You will absolutely cast votes, and that's the aligned action, the aligned thoughts, that's stopping breaking patterns. You will be casting votes more often than not towards that 24 karat outcome.
Wow, I love all of that. And I love how you said that a small percentage of the time we feel the resistance because we're going for something that isn't aligned with our core beliefs and it's not truly what we want. And in the work that I do, similar to you, is oftentimes people do not know what they want. So we piggyback on other people's dreams and goals and we start going for them. And then we get down the rabbit hole and we don't want to, for lack of a better word, give up because we don't want to fail. We have fear of failure. We don't want to be perceived a certain way. We don't want to fail just because we're going to make that shit mean something about ourselves, like what we were talking about. And we're not taking the information as just information. We're taking it and making it mean something about ourselves. So I say all that to say is recently I did this, whenever I travel, I do conversations with Carmen. So I just host like a pop-up, like little thing. And there's a different theme for all of them. And it's just whatever the divine tells me. But on this one, it happened to be National Telephone Day. And so we played the game Telephone with our dreams. So basically there was like 5 people in a group. I start with my dream and then it gets told to the next person and the next person. You remember how telephone goes, with the goal being that each person expands that dream so that when I'm done, my dream is now expanded by 5 other people and my perception is shifted. And now this thing that I wanted, that maybe it was just like, oh, I want to redo my backyard, is now like this wonderland oasis that I never want to leave, that causes me to, brings me so much peace and joy. And my family all comes over and there's this water feature and blah, blah, blah. So you get where I'm going with this.
Yes.
So how do we, if we have been taught to model ourselves after other people, how do we start that process to really uncover what do we want? Because that's step 1. And I feel like people miss the boat on your step 1. And so then the other 6 steps are going to be really challenging.
Sure. Yeah. Brilliant question. If you know what you don't want, let's start flipping from there, right? I know what I don't want. I don't want to experience XYZ. I don't want the kind of relationship that's XYZ. I don't want to open my finances and feel this way, see this number. Like, I don't want that. Okay. That tells me, it gets me a whole lot closer to what I do want. So I don't want lack. I want abundance, right? I don't want scarcity. I want abundance. Okay. Where am I experiencing the scarcity? In a relationship. Okay. So what would abundance feel like? What would it look like? If I was watching a movie and I thought someone else was experiencing abundance, or if I'm watching myself in a movie and someone else is experiencing abundance, how is their face going to look? What are they doing with their time? What does time with another person look like? How does that energy feel? Any way that you can start tapping into that, you can get closer to, this is what I want. I do believe that you also, none of you can get it wrong, can just get it more right. Yeah, you can learn, you can make a choice and experience the choice and then make another choice based on the experience. And that is the beauty of, because you spoke about failure, Carmen, and I think there's 2 pieces in there, or giving up. And this comes up a lot with clients. What if instead you finished well? Some things need to end. Shit ain't working. And we're not willing to whatever, like, let's just finish well. because everything is not for us, or is not always in the timing that we're in. Relationships specifically get to finish well or real ugly, right? Like if we've ever had a relationship that has run its course, we get to choose to be the people who finish well. And what does that look like? And what does that mean? And what does that get to feel like? Because finishing well is a sense of accomplishment. It's a, wow, that was hard and I did it anyway, as opposed to giving up, quitting, failure. And failure is also all about the relationship that what we make it mean, instead of letting it mean experimenting. Like, I tried that out and, the data said not for me, or the data said I get to do this, or the data said I get to do that. We get real tied up with failure and giving up. And we get to then say, well, what if from now on, in the future and next time, I allowed myself to finish well? And that gets to mean that I'm actually showing up more empowered when I finish well, when I make the choice to experience finishing well over telling myself I failed, over telling myself that I quit. Because lots of times quitting is exactly what needs to happen. I speak from experience. When I quit smoking almost 30 years ago, quit drinking almost 20 years ago, quit biting my nails, like all of those things. I've quit a lot of things in my life that have really, like, I'm a quitter, and it's a good thing. You get to untangle the meaning that you've given something. So knowing what you want, if you know what you don't want, get to the core of that. What is it about that you don't want? And is the exact opposite then how you want to feel, or is it just a degree away from there? Because I want to be in a loving relationship that looks like XYZ, but I don't want to lose myself in this relationship and then feel like I'm only, like, I can't be whole without this. So I want this person who compliments me, but I don't want to lose myself in them. So is it completely opposite? Like, I have a terrible relationship, I want a loving relationship? No, it's really tuning into and also allowing yourself to believe that you're worthy of the deserving of the best of what it is. And that, as you know, is the practice as well. Like, I can't, like, my worth came stock. It's not up for debate how worthy I am and what I deserve at all. I'm the one debating it. Like, it's not up for debate.
I love that. Yeah, we're all wonderfully and beautifully made, right? And until we can accept that, we're always going to be searching or seeking outside of ourselves. It makes me think of, for me, and I want to hear, and I know you have more that you want to share too, because, we all want to be in our 24-karat gold era. But for me, the catalyst to some of these subconscious blocks, uncovering them, because we don't know what we don't know until we know better, right? And then we can start doing better. But the key and the catalyst for me is getting myself around and in rooms. Like, we're in a group together. That's how we're connected. And a lot of the women that are in our group have knowledge in areas that I don't know anything about, but I'm super excited to be in that room to expand what's possible for me. So I can think, oh, I never even thought of that. And so for me, when I think about some of these things of 7 layers deep, why? Maybe I used to only be able to get to like 3 layers deep of my dreaming and goals. But because I put myself in spaces and rooms, in person and otherwise, and hired coaches, that I'm able to actually get 7 layers deep and actually expand. Because it was really challenging just trying to white knuckle and do it on my own. Could you just share your opinion on that? Like,
Yeah,
what's been a catalyst for you in this type of growth, mindset growth?
I think hands down support, whether that support comes through a community, like you said, the support of other people rising in a way that you want to rise, sharing that perspective. I white knuckled it to figure out my very first limiting belief. and what it was keeping me from. And so the moment I was able to tune into that, then I knew immediately support first of all, support would have got me here way faster, right? Like, oh, someone else's wisdom, someone being a mirror, being able to see like, here's what you said, and here's what I'm hearing you mean. And boom, like, yes, that's exactly what it was. So that level of support and that trust in myself that I deserve to be in that room to experience the possibilities. Because how will I know that, like you said, we don't know what we don't know. How will I know the possibilities unless I put myself around, unless I read, unless I listen to podcasts, if I can't necessarily and physically put myself in a room? I have learned over the past several years, like, as uncomfortable as that can be, I always want to be one of the smallest fish in the room. I want to know. I want to learn. I like, tell me the things, show me the way, like, show me how it gets to be. Now I will define success in my own terms. However, the inspiration of seeing and then hearing, being able to, especially in the group that we're in, literally sit at the knee, right? Like they'll just share all the things with you. They'll tell you, because that's why they're there as well, to share what they do know and to receive from other people what they don't know. So definitely support in some way, shape, or form will allow you to do the deeper work and then feel like you get to do the deeper work. Like, here's a new perspective. Now I can ask this better question. Now I can go deeper on this because if we can't dream it up for ourselves, and you'll get there, like you will get there and being able to dream it up for yourself with practice, then we get to see how other people dreamed it up for themselves and be inspired. Again, be inspired and say, what internal resources do I have that I get to tap into? What do I think she's modeling that I can learn, that I can investigate, that I can understand deeper? He or she modeling.
Thank you for that. So what else do you have for us? I mean, it's one thing to hear this conceptual knowledge and be like, okay, and start trying to discern it for us. But what are some of those like tactical, nitty-gritty transformational pieces that you want to share with us?
So I definitely want to tell you about mental rehearsal, and I'll do that quick and give you like the secret sauce, how to make that actually happen as well, like a more ease in tapping into it. So mental rehearsal is what gold medal Olympic athletes do. High achievers, like top tier in all the categories, they use mental rehearsal. So this is, I call it visualization on steroids. This is more than just seeing it, right? It's more than just casting the vision. Truly, you're going to do, I call this the immersion method. You're going to dive into a swimming pool of what it is you want. And so I use mental rehearsal so often that I don't even realize it's literally subconscious for me. I play out a moment, a scene, a call. Anytime I'm going to come on a podcast, speak, teach, anything like that, I mentally rehearse it. So I see it, I hear it, I taste it, I smell it, I feel it internally, and I feel it externally. I dive into a swimming pool of first the outcome. What's the outcome? The outcome at the end is everybody got exactly what they needed. Like that's the outcome. I came authentically, people were open, they got exactly what they needed, they're implementing. Like that's my outcome at the end. Now I get to reverse engineer that. So what does that look like? That looks like making sure I have water beforehand. That looks like taking 5 minutes to get centered before I came on, even, right? It looked like some essential oil. It looks like, what does it feel like? It feels like internally taking that big, deep breath, setting that intention. Let me give you an example of someone else who mentally rehearsed. Michael Phelps, gold medal winner. So mental rehearsal is us having the well-formed outcome and then knowing that we're going to get there. Like we're going to get to the well-formed outcome. we want to take path A, which is the easiest path, right? I get on the call, there's no technical difficulties, everybody's here, it's great, it ends, it's exactly like I wanted it to be. There's been plenty of calls I've gotten on though, right? And the internets and signals drop, and this happens and that happens. The beauty of mental rehearsal is I already know the end. I already know the outcome that I want. So those little technical difficulties, like sound dropping out, or in Michael Phelps' case, water getting in his goggles, doesn't stop me from my outcome, didn't stop him from a gold medal. He mentally rehearsed swimming with water in his goggles, like envisioning how that would happen, what he would do, how he would know the strokes, how it would feel, so that if it happened, he was ready. That's like top tier mental rehearsal. I'm inviting everyone to mentally rehearse A to B, the simple path. Here's what you're doing in your brain. First of all, your brain doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. So you are imagining the outcome and your brain's like, oh yeah, we can do this. We've been here. When you get to then the thing that you're mentally rehearsing, you've taken some of the stress, some of the unknown out of it, because your brain's like, yeah, we've been here. It doesn't know the difference, whether you imagined it happening or it actually happened. That's the beauty of that. So that's one piece that you can use mental rehearsal for, like anything that you want. But one of the things that it does for you is just relieves a little bit of that stress, a little bit of that, like the magic in mental rehearsal is getting in your of course energy. So there's a big difference between wanty, wishy, hopey energy. Like, I hope the end people got what they needed. I hope nothing goes wrong. I wish, right? There's this disbelief energy, and you can feel it. Like you can feel it come up to here when you're in that wanting, that lack energy, that not having energy. If we flip that over, we can get into our having energy, our of course energy. Of course, everybody's going to get what they need. Of course, I'm going to show up my authentic self and meet people where they're at. Of course, blah, blah, blah. How do we get into that of course energy? You've already got some. This is you being you. Whether that's, of course, this is my 7th glass of water for the day, or of course I pet the dog in the morning, or of course I brush my teeth, or of course I kiss the kids, or get into some empowered of course energy. This is who you are no matter what. Of course, you logged in 5 minutes early and we're all ready, right? Carmen said in the very beginning, like, I'm a right on time. Like, of course she's right on time. Like, this is your of course energy. Don't overthink it. Find some of course energy. Call it in. Now, take that energy and cast your mental rehearsal. Because now you're in the, of course, like you're in the it's done energy as you see, hear, feel, taste, smell the outcome that you want. This is game changer. When you get in that it's already done energy, your body settles into it. There's none of that wishy hopey lack. It's like, oh yeah, I'm already done. I'm in my of course energy, and now I'm going to cast my vision. That makes mental rehearsal like chef's kiss.
I love that so much. And you did not know this, but a few years back, I host retreats, across like Mexico and the United States. And so get a bunch of women together, and there's so many miracles that were happening and so many moments where everybody just wanted to say, I can't believe that happened. And that's us collecting evidence that when we show up for what we want, the universe, God is going to show up. It's going to show up. That's what we're talking about, right? And so we coined this phrase, like, never again are we going to say, I can't believe that happened. We are only saying, of course that happened. Thank you. More, please. Of course that happened. Thank you. More, please. And so if you want to know how to get into the, of course, energy, when you're open and you're available and something happens and it's that moment when you want to say, I cannot believe that happened, you don't say that. Instead, you say, of course that happened. Thank you. More, please. And then you do your mental rehearsal because you've already collected the evidence. And just like what you were saying, that for our subconscious has pictures, sounds, and feelings, in that moment, we'll be able to feel it because it actually happened for us. And then then do your mental rehearsal. So that was just a little tidbit from my community around, of course, that happened. Thank you, more please. Of course, that happened. Thank you, more please. That you can we can add on to what you just did. Yeah.
Yes. Brilliant. Yes. Anytime you can tap in right in that moment. Beautiful. Anchor it. We call that anchoring, anchor that in, right? Anchor in how it feels, how it tastes, how the air smells, all the things, anchor that in so that there you go. There's your, of course, energy. And I love how you flipped that, because one of the things that we say in creating a 24 karat outcome and using the 7 keys, right? This, or something even better, this being untethered to the outcome of, this is the only way that it can get here, and this is the only way that I can be satisfied with it, and being so tied to this. Remember, your brain's deleting, distorting, and generalizing. So if we allow ourselves the expansion of this, I have it planned out, I'm showing up, I'm pretty sure this is the way, and universe, God, show me something better, show me more ease, show me another path, I'm open to it. That then allows your RAS to expect and anticipate in all kinds of ways that it wouldn't before you said that. And so stacking that on, reminding yourself between of course this happened, thank you, more please, and this or something better, those two swaps for you, those two additions, super expansive. And Carmen said something what's tactical? Some tactical ways to rewire your brain right now to really allow yourself to believe in the direction of your limitlessness is doing some really simple word swaps as well, and having awareness around these word swaps. Because Carmen said, we don't know what we don't know until we know, right? If you're saying but all the time, but typically ends. It negates what you said before. And you don't have to believe me. You can start gathering your own proof, listening to your own words, and then listening to someone else's words. When you're using but, you don't actually always mean but. You don't actually always mean I want to negate what you said. I want to end this. You lots of times want to expand it. So instead, say and. Oh, just like with Carmen, she's that, of course, energy. But she could have said, but here's something we do to tap into our of course energy. No, she said, and here's what my community, here's how we tapped into it. Now you have choice. Now you have expansion. So recognize how often you're saying but, and see where you can instead swap in and. Oh, I hear what you're saying, Carmen, and. Instead of, oh, but my thing is better, right? But no, and look at, now we've got all these options and choices. And the other swap that I absolutely love, if you find yourself shoulding on yourself, which is should is a could with shame smeared on it, right? That's shame and guilt, and I should have done this, I should have done that. Or if you find yourself you shoulding to someone else, take a moment and ask yourself, okay, could I say from now on, in the future, next time, instead of shoulding on myself, oh, I should have taken a different way home. Next time, I'm going to go that other way. The freedom and the expansion and allowing yourself to have options is going to be game changer for you. You're literally rewiring your brain every time you do that. From now on, I will give more consideration to. I literally did this the other day. I went for a run later in the day. It was hot. I knew better and I wanted to go for the run. So I didn't run as well as I like to. And I was more tired throughout the day because I didn't fuel like I would normally fuel because it was later in the day, right? There's all these things that fell into place. So instead of being I should have ran earlier, I should have fueled better, I didn't even have that conversation. I said, from now on, I'm going to be a little more discerning about how late in the day I run when the temperature is XYZ. I just opened it up for myself to have so many possibilities. From now on, in the future, next time, if you will allow yourself those swaps over should, when you're either falling into a pattern of shoulding yourself or recognizing that you're going to should someone else. Because I don't know about all of you listening. I hate being told what to do. Like when someone tells me you should do this, I'm like, I can't hear you. You should stop telling me what to do. Like I am just a child when it comes to that. I want to have choice in it. And so, hey, in the future, like, would you consider feels so much better and just allows dialogue to open instead of close. And when you're allowing openness, you are allowing your brain to rewire. You're allowing that deleting, distorting, and generalizing to go in the direction of more instead of less, of expansion over restriction.
Those swaps are the best. So I love the should one. I've heard the but, and changing that to and I know that's something that I do all the time. But just thinking about it is in that mindset of growth and goals and what you want, instead of saying should, which is the exact opposite. It's next time, in the future, from now on. It's like, yeah, I'm going, it tells you that I'm going in that direction. It's affirming the direction that you're going versus the judgment and criticism of why you're not going there. Exactly. And getting stuck down that rabbit hole.
Training your brain.
Yeah.
You're training it. Yeah. You're training it in the direction of what you want. You're experiencing it. Yes. Yes.
So if we're not already obsessed with you and your energy, Mindi, because you just
thank you,
bring it. And I am deeply, deeply appreciative of this. I know people will be watching it on the replay. But if we wanted more of you, how can we reach out to you? What types of things do you offer that we can join in on?
Yeah,
tell us a little bit more about that.
Thank you. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm like play on TikTok, but I'm more curated on Instagram. You'll get lots of stuff there. You'll really see behind the scenes on TikTok. Like I'll just show up there like a crazy woman. But so you get to experience both sides of me there. And I actually have a downloadable mental rehearsal. I'll walk you through it. So I'll walk you through the steps of how to mentally rehearse, of what you get to envision, all those kinds of things. I'm happy to share that with you. It's absolutely free. And that would get you like closer in my community. And oh, you're so welcome, Lawrence. We just got a little note in the chat there. Yeah, the meaning you give to data. Yeah, absolutely. I apologize if you can hear that siren. It's noon here. There's a really loud siren going on.
So where can we get? Will you send it to me? Is there a spot that we can go and download it if they wanted to do it this instant?
If they wanted to do it this instant, I can put it in the chat, and it is at rewireyourbrainclub.com.
Anything else that you wanted to share with us before we ended our time together? Like I said, your energy, your passion, your enthusiasm is just so infectious. And it's not just a bunch of concepts or inspiration that you gave us today. I really felt that you gave us actionable steps that are aspirational. We can do it. I feel like that we can take on some of these things. And the little bits and pieces of the science-backed information that you shared was very valuable too, because some of us want to know, well, like, how does this actually work? What's the science behind it? So I appreciate that.
Thank you. And that is the highest compliment, that that you got some tactical stuff, you got some brain expansion, you got some science, like all the things that I covered all the bases. So thank you. Thank you for that. I will, yes, leave you with creating your 24 karat era, creating 24 karat outcomes. This is truly about allowing yourself to tap into your subconscious. So when you're knowing what you want, when you're creating that outcome, what are you hearing? What are you feeling? What are you tasting? What are you seeing? The more that you can tap into those pieces, that you dive into that swimming pool of what you want, the easier it becomes to cast votes towards that version of yourself. You get this expansion every time. And the deeper that you go, on this outcome and who you get to be in order to achieve the outcome, the more you fall in love with that version of yourself. And that's truly the magic, is falling in love with the process of you becoming. When you're leaned into that, anything is possible.
I love that so much. Thank you so much for being here with us today. You are just magic, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was an absolute joy to be here with you.
Yeah.